today on Cork's Grand Parade in solidarity with our colleagues in Leinster and Connacht, and we're here for our Fair Pay Day protest. We have 21 speakers who have a few minutes to tell us their personal story on why we deserve a living wage. Please give each speaker a warm welcome. So without further ado, I'll introduce the first speaker, and we have Eleanor O'Connell.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Eleanor O'Connell and I am an early childhood professional. I'm working in the sector for over 18 years, and at present and for the last 16 years I'm a playgroup leader in a community playgroup. And thank you very much for your attention and for your turnout here. It's lovely to see it. I just want to share a little bit of my journey with you, and I'm going to talk about where I started and where I am today. I started my training in 1998, where I did my VTAC Level 5 childcare, and then I spent 2 years doing that. Further to that, I spent another 2 years doing my VTAC Level 6 childcare in a college of further education. I spent 1 year doing my high school qualification, and I spent 4 years in university getting my Level 8 honours degree in early childhood studies and practice. Thank you. And between all that time, as with other early childhood professionals, I've updated my manual handling skills, I've refreshed my first aid skills, I have updated my child protection training, I have attended ASHTR and SHIELTA training workshops, I attend network meetings, and this summer, as over the last 4 summers, I've signed up to do ASHTR and SHIELTA training on the new guide that has been published, and that's at my own expense. I don't get paid for the summer, but I'm willing and motivated because I love my job. I love the early years. I love working where I am, and I'm committed and motivated. But I think now the time has come to say that is not okay. I'm not going to continue training on my own time, at my own expense, without anything for it. Even though personally it's giving me, you know, I do it for myself because I love it, and obviously it helps me with my practice, and I feel I'm enhancing my quality provision through all this training. But now is the time to say enough is enough. If we're training outside of our working hours, in the summertime, at weekends, we deserve to be paid for it. And I'm just going to finish up here just on a note to say that even though I have my honours degree, which is Level 8, I am still at the same rate of pay as I was when I had my VTAC Level 5 qualification. Do you think that's fair? No. Thank you for listening.
Well done, Eleanor. What do we want, guys? Fair pay? Yeah. Next speaker up is Tina Dunstan.
Hi everybody, my name is Tina Dunstan and I manage a community childcare centre in North Cork. I started working at my service as on the board of management. I joined the staff about 8 or 9 years ago. I started working in the rooms and then I took over as manager about 7 years ago. During my last 7 years I ended up doing an honours degree in CIT, just to get myself a higher qualification to keep me in the position that I'm in, because I was told that I wasn't qualified enough to be the manager of the service. I did the degree. I started at a specific rate of pay and I didn't get any increase because unfortunately the service cannot afford it. At this stage we feel that it's down to the government to start supporting the services, to support their staff, to increase the rate of pay. The services cannot afford it, the parents cannot afford it, and the only people that can support us in that is the government. I have a staff of 12. All of those staff also are on the same rate of pay, some of them for the last 13 years. They give extra time. For example, this week we're practicing for our graduation. Staff are staying on extra hours. They're coming in the evenings. They're getting the rooms ready for open days for parents to come and see the service. and that is all done outside of their working week. And at this stage, we need to start saying, no, we have to start getting paid for all of those extra hours that we're putting in. There is no other qualification, there is no other area of work in the country that would work the extra hours that we work, the time that we put in over and above our time, let alone for the low pay that we're getting. For all those extra hours that are put in that are not paid for, on top of the fact that we're paid very poorly. So at this stage, we need to stand up and say, no, we need to be paid better. And like I say, the only people that can support us in that is the government, so we need to start fighting for more pay and more better conditions in our services. Thank you for listening.
Well done, Tina. Next up we have Elaine Birmingham.
Working in the early years, we hear about learning opportunities all the time. And today I've already had 2. I've discovered that I do not have much red in my wardrobe, and also that the preschoolers that get up in front of their peers and family and friends every Christmas and June for the graduation ceremony, I absolutely have a newfound respect for what they do as I stand here in front of you today. I suppose to introduce myself, my name is Elaine and I manage the Model Farm Road Childcare Centre out just out in the west side of the city here, and it's a very large centre, and it's one of 6 centres that make up the Best Creche Group. It's privately owned, and I suppose I'm coming at this slightly from an employer's perspective. We're in business over 10 years, and in that time I would have worked very closely with our directors and with the accountant, and I get a lot of facts and figures thrown at me. And there's one that I want to share with you today. I'm speaking completely from our own centre's point of view, but of all of the income that comes in to the Best Creche Group, 60% of it immediately goes out in wages. That's before we ever pay for rent, rates, a morsel of food that we need to feed the children, before we buy a stick-a-prit stick, any googly eyes or any paint. So you can imagine, if there was any more money to go around, I can assure you our employers, my employer, would be passing it on. It isn't there. We give what we can. But that's not to say that you and I are not worth more. We definitely are. And I was talking to a friend of mine about a year ago. I was up in her house. It had been a particularly rough week at work. We had a child who had lost a parent. I'd had a conversation with another set of parents trying to convince them that they needed to get their child assessed, and they tore strips off me because they didn't want to hear about it. And I think for good measure we had a bout of conjunctivitis doing the rounds, so it was a pretty tough week. And I sat in my friend's house, and she works in the financial sector, and her job is to invest people's savings. And she turned to me and she said, I don't know how you get a wink of sleep at night with the job that you do. She said, the responsibility that you guys have. She said, the only thing that people seem to feel more passionately about than their money is their children. And thanks be to God, that is true in most cases. They are the most precious thing that we have. But my friend who works in the financial sector earns 3 times more than any of my colleagues in the early years sector. Now what that says to me is we value, as a society, money more than we value our children. And I think it's time to stand up, be counted, and value what's important. That is our children, and we are responsible for them, so value us too. Thank you for listening. Keep up and keep up.
We've got 3 wonderful speeches, guys, from our early childhood professionals. Our next speaker is Elga Holbrook, early childhood professional.
Hello everybody, and thank you for coming today. My name is Elga and I work in Ballabjog. I have worked in this profession for 16 years and it is my vocation, but at the moment I am struggling to stay in it. Last year I had to take on a second job, which paid better wages, but I had to do it because I had to keep up with mortgage payments and bills and so on. Now this was very, very, very hard on my own personal home life and my own health. I ended up working 50 hours plus a week, and in the end I felt that I wasn't there for my own children's needs, which was heartbreaking. Also, I actually worked myself to exhaustion, to the point where I damaged my own health permanently. Believe it or not, the job that I took on required no minimum FETAC level qualification, just experience, that was it. Yet, I was earning a better wage than the highly qualified, experienced, responsible position that I hold in childcare today. But after 12 months, I had to make a decision. Do I give up the better paid job, or do I stick to what I truly believe is a worthy profession that has so many positive impacts on children's lives and their families? What did I do? I listened to my heart and I chose my own vocation, my true vocation, childcare and education. But did I make the right practical decision for me and my family? Today I am asking the government to click on their listening ears, because we all know there is a difference between listening and hearing. I want them to make me feel that respected, valued, by paying me a fair wage. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Elga. Our next speaker is Tim Moore, an early childhood professional.
Hello. My name is Tim Moran, and I've been working with young children for almost 25 years. I'm very proud of my profession, and on a good day, when things go kind of about half as well as you plan, I can say that I'm really proud of the work that I've done as an early childhood professional. That's the positive aspect. Now for the negative. In all honesty, I find it really humiliating to have to feel like I have to beg to the government and to all previous governments for more pay, for fair pay, and for better working conditions. And in my stuck with this negative emotion that I have, I want to lash out. I want to make the government feel ashamed for what they haven't done for us. It's not just what they haven't done for us, it's what they haven't done for children. And the real irony here is that it's something I would never do as a professional. I would never make a child feel ashamed about something they haven't done. Instead, when I'm at work, I try and create the conditions where children realize there's a better way. I'll be better off if I use my words. I'll be better off if I say how I'm feeling. I'll be better off if I share and negotiate to get what I want. So, a few weeks ago we heard in the news that public sector employees will be better off, will be about €1,000 better off in the next year or two. Every time I hear news like this, I ask myself, what is it that they do that I don't do? We have the guards. Everyone knows that the guards keep the peace. With the children that we work with, we keep the peace. Okay, they're a lot younger. It's a lot smaller population. But if we have the opportunity to do our job really well, the guards' job is a lot easier down the road. We have the teachers. In the years between 0 to 6, children learn more than they do at any other time in their lifetime. And that's science, that's what research says. Now the medical profession. Let's compare the number of early years professionals that have first aid training with the number of national school teachers that have to have first aid training. So here we are in Ireland. What have we got? We have some cows, we have some beautiful scenery, we have a good few multinationals, and why are the multinationals here? One of the reasons is because they like the tax rate. But another reason that they're here is because they really like the educated, skilled workforce. In fact, we have so many skilled and educated workers that a lot of them have to go to other countries to make a life for themselves. Now let's think about those workers. Let's think about all the workers that work with the cows and the scenery and the nationals and the multinationals and all the services that give us our quality of life here in Ireland. How many of those workers went to preschool? Lots of them. And every year, more and more of them will have gone to preschool. Like, what was their experience in preschool? People like us nurtured them, and we kept alive their love for learning. People like us guided them, and showed them how to get along with each other, how to share and negotiate, how to get their needs met without stepping on other people's toes. So I think it's time to put aside the humiliation and the shame, and it's time to be proud of our profession and the work we do as early childhood professionals, because we're not inferior to any sector that contributes to the public good in this country. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. I just want to do a quick run around. There are some of the posters. You're very good for bringing the posters and showing them. We've outrage at our low wage. We have valuing our profession is valuing children. Quality costs, invest now. Borby Education Centre, invest now or pay later. Fair pay, fair play. Happy Talk, support fair play. Boshti, Dudley. So please, fair pay for our fair work. And next up to speak is Maureen Ivrian, early childhood professional.
Or Margaret. It's Misha Maureen Ivrian, and I'm Fuiloher, Morris Turhor, Nienra, in Mara.
Kamara Fuiloher, Achishin Russia. My Fuiloher is Truckavlian at Foss. I've spent 30 years in this job. I will leave it in perhaps another 10 years. If you look at my demeanour, it could be 20. But Asian Russia, Garam Shadiv, it is only 10 years. I spent a Dolamakon Doris, Neil pension the Lidigo, Neil Fuckle Awan, Och Fuckle Nabashdi, Deanpul Ma Ala Aksan Vagword, Sheet Son Nadine of these Gobber Life Harmavlinka. And even though today, and I've listened to the other speakers, we appear to be despondent. Hada Yamalite, Madin Delun. What will we all do? Madin Delun. Osloimidor Griha, we will open our hearts to the children in our care. Agus Rockamid Arai, a day of our Bustana. Marshin on Nose of Hogwinger, Meet Fakel and Ogri, Och our Postana. Tamid Ek Ober. Biognak Dionok. We're voluntary. We're looked on by voluntary organisations, but we are voluntary workers, practically voluntary workers. And Commission, not first score on an employer. By goodness, Neil Mine sauce their horrible to hand a minimum wage to a level 8 person. My daughter graduates, please God, very shortly here in Cork, and Tom Anna O'Doul. I would hope she would never be handed the minimum wage after all she's put in. And I am not, as an employer, happy to be assured on Masla Shin, on the Shodi of Hogwinger, our jewels, our young people. We're integrating them and we're sending off on board, they're keeping them down. And as Tim said there, the multinationals are delighted to tarish that. Martashi ko ilte. Kadig na kenan sale na bashti. Tan a tish mahorian. Tan a lovely an town. Tan bumskoliak town. Tan manskoliak town. Agus an yishin la kuna day and trio kemerai. But tamid erin ko ken gilgna in Eden tish mahori. Ken for not with an ahanta shin fight again. Why have we not got that recognition? Because we as a workforce work with our hearts. We do not work with our heads. I would have loved it as a job a long time ago, as you can see. I'd have done great up in the lorry long ago. Fecum go she team from the hot and shop. Tashi we got her nash. Loon Mort, better Mort, Captain. Ibrahim and Loon to a certain board. But fecum go to Sean, you Augustini elevator fashion. August just in Pimorif. Aisling in you, tear her nash, August Ian Otker Fader live. For Gloha Akur, just throw in the lovely August Ibrori. Because if you invest and you keep those jewels that we have educated to this degree, and even the older fashioned jewels, we've educated ourselves and we've got there and we're very proud of it. it sees us in Cúpla Seachtain. We're actually going to have the new format of Keep the inspection from the Department of Education. Caithfidh Verreg. We're ready for it. Caithfidh Reg, come Verreg. But we need to be respected at the same level. So, Más full Coranachar a Castálaing Tashi Castálatanish. Agus just Caithfidh Fágan Slif Lesh and just and Focal Shaw, and it's just an international code that I think should be the United Nations Convention on the Rights of a Child Report 2015 cites that primary consideration by government when making national budgetary decisions affecting children must include how cuts will impact on the best interests of the child. Darren Shishinay.
Good morning. Our next speaker is Deirdre O'Sullivan, Early Childhood Professional.
Good afternoon. Hello, my name is Deirdre and I'm a childminder. And when Ruth from Cork City Childcare rang me a few days ago and asked me to speak, I said, sure, no problem. Hung up the phone and then thought, oh God, what have I just agreed to? Anyway, I've been childminding now for 5 years. And if you asked me when I started what the role of a childminder was, I would have said extending my role of a mother to caring for other children. Looking back now, that role has expanded quite a lot. A childminder is the first point of contact for a child, be it a baby or toddler, to experience love from outside the family unit, feel secure, become a member of a social group, learn to speak, play, walk, learn to feed oneself. Then, as the child grows, a childminder's role most certainly expands to many roles, which include doctor or nurse. I'm sure many of you have made that dreaded phone call to parents over concerns over the well-being of their little one. Other roles include teacher, priest, philosopher, as you all know when the why questions get asked. Does a childminder earn the same pay as the above mentioned professionals? Most certainly not. A childminder's pay is an agreement between you and the family, and judging from recent research varies vastly throughout the country. I believe the minimum wage since July 2011 is now at $8.65 an hour, and I know a lot of childminders do not even earn this. Then there's always the worry that if you increase your rate, the family will go elsewhere and you are out of pocket. What happens if you, a childminder, becomes ill or have an accident? What backup support is there for childminders? Absolutely none. To sum it up, a childminder opens up their family home, and they and their husbands, partners, children must always be mindful of their behaviour and how their actions will reflect on young children. How do you put a price on that? Thank you.
Thank you, Deirdre. Our next speaker is Mary O'Driscoll, Early Childhood Professional.
Good afternoon, my name is Mary O'Driscoll and I'm here from Mahon Community Preschool, and I've been on the board of management for the last 24 years. Today what we're here, what I'd like to say is the lack of adequate funding is making affordable quality childcare practically impossible. Under the programme for early education, we get paid for a 38-week out of a 52-week year. This would not be tolerated in any other sector. We feel this is in fact exploitation of the childcare sector, and in particular not-for-profit community childcares who strive to support families in areas of disadvantage. Our childcare staff are highly qualified, dedicated people in the profession of childcare who give 100% care to the children that use their services. As such, they deserve to be paid accordingly. Having staff work for 38 weeks and work for 38 weeks and then lay them off for anything between 10 and 14 weeks without pay is totally disregard for the profession of that is childcare. So much is demanded in the care and education of children under the childcare legislation. All this taken into consideration, it is really time for the Department of Children to start providing adequate funding. to early childhood education and particularly to not-for-profit community childcare services working in disadvantaged areas. The free preschool year is a wonderful provision for children and parents, but it needs to be financed adequately and it must not continue to be carried on the backs of our childcare workers. Our childcare service strives to support all children, that includes children with additional needs, attending speech therapy, or children where English is not their first language. Those children and their families need extra help and support. We want to be able to support all the children who come to us with additional needs, helping give them an equal opportunity going out onto formal education. We want to be in position to support these families and children, but with insufficient funding under the EEC and CCS it's getting practically impossible to give the support that is needed. Each year our childcare workers upgrade their qualifications and training in order to provide the best possible service. 3 members of our staff in 2014 started their FETAC level 6, which will be a requirement for our senior workers under the EEC from September of this year. This was a huge undertaking to take on, while at the same time working and doing that is all that's expected of the childcare work in a 5-day week. It illustrates yet again the commitment of our staff to their profession. It is time that our profession receives the finance and recognition that is hugely deserved. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris and I just finished my 4-year degree in CIT doing early years education and care. During that time also I've worked within the sector for 3 years on a part-time basis along with college. And just from my point of view, starting off as an early years educator, and from what I've witnessed, from what I've done myself and from what I've learnt, the amount of work, dedication and loyalty that goes from us to children and parents is second to none and second to any job, in my own opinion. It's respected by parents, it's respected by us, the practitioners, it's not respected by the government. We promote a child's holistic development to their next learning curve and stage, and if that's not a valued job or a valued profession, I honestly don't know what is. The fact that we also spend, from my point of view, we spent 4 years in college and there were a long 4 hard years doing an honours degree, and to come out then and to be paid mediocre wages for a job that's hands-on, full scale, and you have to be with it, you have to be down to a child's level, and to not be paid for that and not to be on a professional wage is absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that the government aren't realising that is just also a pure scandal in my view anyway. But the fact that, as I said, parents respect us, our managers respect us, they want to pay us more but they can't, and the reason being the funding isn't there. And if the government don't act now, I don't know what's going to become of society, because we're promoting children on, we're bringing them onto their next learning curve, and if the learning isn't there, people will walk away from early years, they'll walk away from courses, and it won't be there for the future. So they need to act now for our future and for the children. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Please give your support to Karen O'Sullivan, Early Childhood Professional.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. My name is Karen O'Sullivan and I'm the coordinator of the Cork County Childcare Committee, and I'm proud to stand up here and say that I am also an early years professional. I was asked to speak for 3 minutes and I decided, what does 3 minutes in anyone's life cost? So I started doing some research. So 3 minutes in the life of a TD. They work for about 120, 130 days a year before anyone shouts at me, I know. And 3 minutes of their time works out at €4.36. Now, they will tell you that the reason they get paid all of that money is the amount of extra work they do outside of door sittings, constituency meetings, clinics, so on and so forth. Well done, you get paid for that. A primary school teacher gets paid €1.36 for 183 days work a year, the same as the ECCE scheme. They will also tell you that they get paid that money because of the marking, the planning, the meeting of the parents, and all of the extra hours that they put in outside that 183 days. Well done you get paid to do that. How much does an early years professional get for 3 minutes of work. 49 cent. 49 cent. Do you get paid to meet the parents? Do you get paid to plan? Do you get paid to attend staff meetings? Do you get paid for anything outside the 3 hours that you spend in contact with those children? No, you don't. And it's about time you did. So, I'm laying down a challenge to the government. Pay early years professionals a living wage. Because do you know where TDs learn their citizenship, learn how to value society? In a preschool. Do you know where teachers learn about the value of lifelong learning and where learning begins? In a preschool. Pay for it. Thank you.
Well done, Karen. Hear our voice, TDs. Next speaker is Janet Den, or Margaret McCarthy, Early Childhood Professional.
Good afternoon, fellow childcare professionals. My name is Margaret McCarthy, and I run my own private preschool called Happy Days Preschool in Middleton in County Cork. And I have been running my preschool for the last 5 years. And before that, I was working in a community childcare facility for 5 years. While I'm speaking today as an owner manager, I not only have to primarily teach and nurture children, but run a business as well, and I have to facilitate 3 different types of inspections from Revenue, Pobble and Tussler as well. I have to do this because I receive an ECCE grant, which is not enough to cover the cost of running a business. My business is like so many in negative equity and is run on a shoestring. Fellow childcare professionals, we are here today in our vast numbers to send a direct message to government that we as childcare professionals operating in our industry are inadequately funded and yet highly regulated. Government needs to wake up and take positive action by increasing funding and show their interest in investing in the future, our children's development and growth. Successive governments over time have forgotten us. We are here today to remind them that our industry is suffering untold damage by their blindness and hoping that we will go away. And let's remind them out loud that we shall not be moved and we cannot and we can remove them. Thank you.
Our second last speaker today is Janet Dennehy, Early Childhood Professional.
Hello, my name is Janet and I'm an early childhood professional and I'd like to welcome everyone here today. I'd firstly like to say that I find it a privilege that I am trusted with parents' most trusted possession, with their children. I finished my 4-year degree and was told by lecturers and teachers that I was a professional, a valued member of society. And when I came out of college, I was faced with a harsh reality of minimum wage, unstable hours and trying to find full-time work. I've been working in the sector now for a number of years and unfortunately not much has changed since then. I have gone on to increase my own qualifications, but that's not been rewarded in my work. It's heartbreaking for other professionals in the sector trying to promote themselves and trying to promote the well-being of children to be treated like this. So I think it's very important that we all stood here today and asked for fair wages and asked for fair pay. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Our final speaker today is Marion Quinn, Early Childhood Professional, and Cork and National Chairperson for the Association of Childhood Professionals. Thank you.
Hello everyone! And I'm going to say hello to Munster, right? Because obviously you're all wearing red because of Munster. Nothing to do with being adopted Cork citizen, right, at this stage, right? I'm going to go with that. I want to say it's absolutely fantastic to see everybody here today and to hear the speakers that kind of spoke so passionately and from their heart. These are early childhood professionals who never expected to have to take to a stage in Grand Parade in Cork and ask for money. Ask for a wage so that they can afford to live. Ask for a wage so that they can afford to get a car loan to get to work, to get a mortgage and to aspire to get a mortgage so that they can put a roof over their family and so that they can afford to pay all the costs for being a citizen in this country. It is not cheap being a citizen in this country, but we as early childhood professionals are treated as cheap labour to look after, to care and educate the youngest citizens in this country. How we are treated is a representation of how children are valued. We have a referendum in this country for children's rights. We know that children's rights are so important. We support children to value and fight for those children's rights every single day. When we ask a little child, do you think this is fair? Are you okay with this? How would you sort this problem out? What is going on for you? We are supporting them emotionally and socially. We are supporting them to be the citizens of this country so that they can be fair, so that they can be respectful, so that they can value each and every single person in an equal way. We know this is a country does not value people equally, and we are a prime example of people who are not who are treated equally. Listening to the figures that Karen was saying, if I wasn't sitting on the ground, I would have fallen down. 49 cents, and you know what? I'm guessing that could even be an overestimation, because we were looking and we were talking up the other day what it is that each and every one of you do. You know it. You know the role that you play, and somebody alluded to as a nurse, as a doctor, as a facilitator, as a negotiator, as a curriculum planner, as an organiser, as a counsellor, as a parent liaison. So many different ways, and every single week and every single year, layer upon layer upon layer is added to the work that we have to do. Is there cent upon cent upon cent layered on the wage you get paid first? No. Okay. Do you think that should be something that is happening? Right. I'm cross. Might not get it right. I am very, very cross. On a daily basis, I am really cross. My family knows. Thank you, family. My family knows how cross I get, because they bear the brunt of it. My colleagues in college in Cork IT bear the brunt of it. And now my colleagues in ACP bear the brunt of it, so I figure you should all get it as well. I'm cross with the politicians. I'm cross with the politicians who pay lip service every single day going, I know you're not paid enough. I know the capitation isn't enough. Isn't it just terrible? But if we had the money, shall we find it for you? Rubbish. There is money. We know that every single day the government makes decisions about where this money should be spent, and they choose not to spend it on us. Not because it's not there, but they choose not to. They do not value what we're at. And why should they? Because we don't value it properly either. We take on every single part of the role that is required of us. Every single day when the children are gone, we spend the time documenting, cleaning, making sure that the place is absolutely top-notch, making sure that we've got the setting right for the children and the parents the following day. We go down to the supermarket in our local area and we talk. We're going about up and down the aisles trying to get your groceries to get home to make your dinner, and you meet a parent. And you have an impromptu parent meeting in the aisle of your local supermarket. You're never, ever off duty. But you're not valued and respected for not being off duty. We know that in our settings there's children coming in on a daily basis where the parents are kind of going, my child has an additional need. And you're going, isn't your child fantastic? And do we value your child? Yes, we do. We will do everything we can to have your child come into this setting and to be part of our community. And we look for help and support in relation to that, because every child is entitled to their early childhood, and every child is entitled to be involved in every aspect of early childhood. So we take the children in, and we cannot get support for them. Some places, the HSE will provide some bit of money, but it's at their discretion, and it could be gone like that, and it has been gone like that. And we're left supporting the children, because we know that they need support, and the parents need support, and they are citizens of this country, and they deserve support. But do you know what? We're not getting money for it, and we won't get money for it, because we keep doing it. We keep providing every aspect and every layer upon layer upon layer, and we hardly ever give out, except to each other. I am sick, up to my teeth, of us giving out to each other. We have to stop that. It's not professional, it's no good, and it gets us nowhere but stressed and burnt out and really annoyed and frustrated. And then we cannot give the best to the children, the families that we are working with. We need to channel our annoyance. We need to channel our anger. We need to continuously contact our politicians, because do you know what? Until we took to the streets of Dublin in February, there was next to no mention in the media about our pay and wages. It was about the cost of early childhood care and education. No, sorry, it wasn't. It was about the cost of childcare, because nobody mentioned the early childhood education aspect of it. That was all. It's now on the agenda. It's now on the agenda because we put it on the agenda. We've finally taken action and put stuff on the agenda, and we cannot stop doing that. There are instruments in this country where we can channel exactly what is going on in our centres every single day. There's no point talking to your colleague. You know what's happening yourself. Just yesterday, I supported an ACP member, just happened to be very lucky. She doesn't live a million miles from me. And I supported her to go and meet Jan O'Sullivan in her local constituency office to talk about planning permission. Because it looks like her service is in danger of closing down because the service is opening up around her. And there's policies in place in the government to prevent this. But you know what? Those policies aren't being implemented. What happens if you don't implement policies? If you're not compliant in all areas, what happens? You close down, you get reports on PUBL website or on the HSE website, another one about to be put on the Department of Education and Skills website. Reports are put up about you not following your policies and about you not being compliant with all aspects of your job. Well, the government isn't compliant with all aspects of their job, and there's no website that says what job they're not doing and what they should be doing. We have to put that up there. Just shortly, there's going to be there's announcements, and we know that they're hiring at the moment Department of Education and Skills inspectors that you would all be fantastic for, that you would have the qualifications for, that you would have the skills for, and you would have the knowledge for. And you know what? You would get a very decent wage out of it. Okay? But the thing is, these inspections have been put in place, and they're education-focused inspections. Brilliant, because you do a fantastic job educating the children of this country. But do you know something? You are going to be inspected on elements that you have not been trained to deliver. Shielta has not been rolled out, Ashtra has not been rolled out, despite the fact that one of those Shielta was 2006, when the economy was booming. The other one was, 2010, isn't it? Yeah. The other one was 2010. Fair enough, we weren't booming then. But why put out a policy document and a curriculum framework that we have to follow unless you're going to put in the training? They are two brilliant documents. We have not had substantive training in relation to it. But guess what? You're going to be inspected. Because by osmosis and on your free time, and for you paying for the training, you're the person who's going to have to implement that. And they will inspect you on it before you've had training on it. So that they can put it up on the website and say, you're not doing what's in those practice frameworks, even though you haven't been trained in it, but you should know it anyway. That happens nowhere, and we're letting it happen. Do you think that will happen in a primary school? Do you think junior cert, did it happen with the junior cert? No! Does it happen anywhere except with us? No! So what are we going to start saying? No! Repeatedly we're going to start saying it. I've been talking to providers who are earning, right? Providers who are employers, who are contributing to their economy, the national economy and the local economy. And those people who are training, who are paying as much as they can for their staff to engage in Shielta and Ashtra training, and who are trying to take a wage themselves, right? And some of those people are earning $4.85 an hour. Karen, get out your calculator and do the figures for $4.85 an hour and see if that works down to 20 cents even, right? For the responsibility as an employer, right? That is ridiculous, and that is the case of a huge majority of the employers in early childhood care and education. So the employers are suffering, the employees are suffering, the children are benefiting, because you know what? We had a fantastic image for our rally in Dublin, and the fantastic image was an elephant, all right? And it wasn't just in the room. It was a person, an early childhood practitioner, pushing that elephant out of the way as they tried to engage with the children. So you're engaging with the regulations, you're engaging with the inspectors, the layer upon layer upon layer upon broken layer of inspections. We're doing that, and we're doing everything we can for the children. They are the most important, when you call them a national jewel, a national treasure. They are the absolute most amazing thing that we've got in this country. We are doing our best for them, but sometimes because we take on more than what we should be taking on, we're not doing them any service, and we're not doing parents any service. They are paying ridiculous fees in relation to early childhood care and education. Some of them because they know this is absolutely what my child deserves, and I will suffer myself. I will not take things for myself so that my children can have it, and so that they can go and they can get the extra support of a professional person in the service. That is brilliant, and fair play to that person. There's other people who know I need to go out and I need to work on a daily basis so that my children can have the absolute best in life. And they need us as professionals to support them. But the more that we do it, and the more we take on parts of the job that aren't in our job description and that we're not being paid for, then the more the cost gets put on them. Because they're paying ridiculous prices, we're getting ridiculous wages, and the shortfall is not being taken up by the government because they're going, we can make you do it. Yeah, we'll put it in that ECCE contract, and they'll take it, and they'll take it, and they'll take it, and they'll take it. Well, that's absolutely it. We're sick of taking it, and we're not going to do it anymore. Right? Now, obviously, my team is not working here because they're supposed to be out there going, wrap it up, Marion, that's slightly longer than 3 minutes. But you know what? I didn't have early childhood care and education. If I did, maybe I'd have a better concept of time, okay? So, what I'm going to say is, you are fantastic, amazing, amazing people, right? The reason I am so cross is because I value you so much. I was one of you, I was working in a centre for 20 years. I was blessed. I had amazing employers in all 3 places that I worked. In one of them, I had to leave and go to Australia just to leave the work because they were such amazing people. But the thing is, all of those amazing people are taking on more than they can take on. Today is Saturday. Yesterday, Friday, a brilliant woman shut the door on her service after 25 years. She achieved her accreditation at level 4 in every single component. She had her qualifications, every one of her staff had qualifications. She had been involved in Astro in Action. She had presented to the ministers and the TDs and the senators in Leinster House. She had gone European, and she had presented to people internationally in terms of the good practice that happens in Ireland. And you know what? I didn't want to kick her when she was down, but I was going to say, you fool. This makes it look abroad like like our government is supporting us in everything we do, and they're not. So this poor woman has shut her doors yesterday because her service is no longer sustainable at that high quality level, and she's not prepared to cut corners. So she shut her door. Right? I had hoped that she would speak today because it would have been a brilliant message, but she's way too raw to do it. So I'm going to do it on her behalf and on behalf of everybody else who has shut the doors already, who provide fantastic services both here in Cork and across nationally. So we'll applaud every one of those people because you know what, there's a candle lit for them. Right? And we will say that has to be the end of us quietly shutting the doors. That cannot happen anymore, and now we need to fight for what will keep the doors open as absolute quality services. So your job is now, right, we're going to give the government a whole load of jobs, and that's one thing, but each and one of you has to take the job, and you have to take the part of being an early childhood professional is fighting for your profession. The only way that we can get the best for our children is if we fight for ourselves. We cannot do our best for the children, and we cannot pretend that we're doing the best for the children unless we fight for us, because we can't stay in the profession and meet their needs as professional people unless we can afford to live. It stops now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marion. There's only one final applause for all our speakers. They were very brave to come up here today and speak. And thank you to each and every one of you that turned out today to support the cause. Quality Costs, Invest Now, Spread the Word. Thank you.